everyone, Sarah here. Rewind Justice brings you revenge stories that will blow your mind. If you're ready, hit subscribe and let's go.
I'm Michael Thompson, and for 27 years I was the family disappointment. My father, Robert Thompson, built Thompson Manufacturing from nothing. Started in 1987 with one machine shop, grew it to 15 employees, then 50, then 200. By the time I graduated high school, Dad employed over 300 people across 2 facilities. He was the success story of our town, self-made millionaire, Chamber of Commerce president, the man everyone respected. My older brother Derek followed Dad into the business right after college. Sales director by 25. VP of operations by 30. Dad's golden child, his legacy, his pride and joy. Then there was me. I went to college for finance. Not engineering like Dad wanted. Not business management like Derek. Finance. Paper pushing, Dad called it. Not real work. I graduated with honors, got recruited by a boutique investment firm in Boston. Started analyzing deals, learning capital markets, understanding how money actually works at institutional levels. Dad never asked about my job. At family dinners he'd talk about Derek's latest sales numbers, the new equipment they purchased, the contracts they landed. When someone politely asked what I did, Dad would wave his hand dismissively, something with spreadsheets in Boston. My younger sister Amanda became a teacher. Dad respected that. Honest work, he'd say. Helping kids. But finance? Investment banking? That wasn't real work to Robert Thompson. Real work meant production schedules and shipping manifests. Real work meant calluses and machinery. Real work meant building things you could touch. I stopped trying to explain after a while. The turning point came in 2019. I was 24, 3 years into my career. I'd saved aggressively, lived below my means, learned from the senior partners. I had $180,000 in liquid capital and access to credit lines through relationships I'd built. That's when I met Gerald Chin, a private wealth manager who specialized in discrete family business financing. We met at an industry conference, got to talking over drinks about succession planning failures and family dynamics. Most family businesses fail because of pride, Gerald told me. The founder won't admit they need capital, won't give up control, won't accept help from the wrong sources. I thought immediately of Dad. Thompson Manufacturing was profitable, but Dad ran everything on thin margins. He refused outside investors, I don't answer to anyone, and limited his banking relationships to traditional commercial loans. When cash flow tightened, he'd delay equipment upgrades, push vendor payments, stress about payroll. Pride kept him from optimizing his capital structure. Gerald explained something called a silent secured credit facility. Essentially, a private credit line backed by personal guarantees from high-net-worth individuals, structured to appear as if it came from the company's existing banking relationships. The business would access capital when needed, pay competitive interest rates, but never know the true source. It's for situations where help would be rejected if the source were known, Gerald said carefully. Adult children helping parents who won't accept help. Siblings supporting family businesses anonymously. Situations where pride gets in the way of prosperity. I sat with that idea for 3 months. Then in early 2020, Dad mentioned at Sunday dinner that he was managing some cash flow challenges due to a delayed payment from a major client. I saw the stress in his face, the way Mom's hand tightened on her water glass. Derek jumped in immediately. Dad's handling it. Thompson Manufacturing has been through worse. But I knew manufacturing. I knew that 30-day delays became 60-day delays, and cash flow crunches led to missed opportunities, lost contracts and potential layoffs. I called Gerald the next morning. Secret success building. Setting up the facility took 6 weeks of careful legal structuring. I provided the initial capital, $200,000 from my savings and bonuses. Gerald connected me with 2 other silent investors, both adult children of business owners with similar family dynamics. Together we capitalized a $6.2 million secured credit line. The structure was elegant. The credit facility would be offered to Thompson Manufacturing through Dad's existing bank, presented as a special financing program for established manufacturers with strong operational histories. The bank would administer it, but our private investment vehicle held the actual credit risk and collected the interest payments. Dad would never know I was involved. The bank's commercial loan officer who worked with Gerald's firm regularly on these arrangements, presented the offer to Dad in March 2020. Exactly when the pandemic hit and businesses across the country were desperate for liquidity. Dad called it a godsend at dinner that week. "Finally, a bank that understands manufacturing," he said. "No equity dilution, reasonable rates, and they actually understand our business cycles." He used the credit line brilliantly. Covered payroll during shutdowns. Bought competitor equipment at auction prices. Funded the PPE production pivot that doubled his revenue in 2021. By 2022, Thompson Manufacturing was more profitable than ever, and Dad had become the regional expert on pandemic-proof manufacturing strategies. He never missed a payment. Never knew his disappointing younger son was the reason he had the capital to survive and thrive. Meanwhile, my career exploded. The relationships from that first deal led to others. Gerald brought me into his private wealth practice. By 2022, I was managing $340 million in discrete family business financing, 15 different silent credit facilities supporting family businesses whose owners would never accept help from their own children. I also started my own ventures. Real estate partnerships. Technology investments. A stake in a growing logistics company. By November 2024, my personal net worth had reached $8.3 million. I owned a townhouse in Boston, drove a sensible Toyota, wore Brooks Brothers suits, and visited home once a month for Sunday dinners where Dad still introduced me as my son who does something with numbers in Boston. Derek made VP of the company. Amanda got engaged. I got asked when I'd settle down and find real work. I smiled and changed the subject every time. The interest payments from Dad's credit facility alone paid my mortgage. The irony was almost beautiful. Inciting incident. Thanksgiving 2024 started like every other holiday. Mom's dining room table perfectly set. 23 people. Aunts, uncles, cousins, Dad's business associates. The Thompson family Thanksgiving was legendary in our town. Dad insisted on inviting key employees, major vendors, community leaders. It was part family dinner, part networking event, part performance of his success. I arrived alone as usual. Derek brought his fiancée. Amanda brought her new husband. I brought wine and the knowledge that I was secretly financing the meal through the credit line that paid for the kitchen renovation. Dinner conversation focused on Derek's latest achievement, landing a $4.2 million contract with an automotive supplier. "This is what real business looks like," Dad announced, raising his glass. "My son closing deals that keep 200 families employed. Building something that matters." Everyone applauded. Derek stood, gave a modest speech about learning from the best. Then Dad turned to Amanda. "And my daughter shaping young minds. Making a real difference in the world." More applause. I felt it coming before he looked at me. "Michael, you're awful quiet over there. How are the spreadsheets treating you?" Polite laughter around the table. I smiled. "Business is good, Dad. Really good, actually." Good. He waved his fork. "Someone's got to push papers while the rest of us do real work, right?" Louder laughter. Uncle Frank nearly choked on his turkey. Derek leaned back, grinning. "Mike's doing fine, Dad. Boston's expensive, but I'm sure he's managing." "That's the thing about finance," Dad continued, warming to his theme. "The Thanksgiving crowd loved when Robert Thompson held court. It's all theoretical. Numbers on screens. Derek here? He walks the factory floor every day. Solves real problems. Creates actual value." My cousin James, who worked at Dad's company, nodded enthusiastically. The new production line Derek implemented increased output by 37%. "Exactly." Dad slapped the table. "That's contribution. That's building something." He looked directly at me. "You contribute nothing to this family, Michael. Nothing. While I built a real business from scratch, employed hundreds of people, supported this entire family, what have you actually done?" The table went quiet. Mom reached for Dad's arm, but he was on a roll. "No, Linda, let me finish. The boy's 27 years old. Still renting in Boston. No wife, no kids, no real assets. Playing with other people's money and calling it a career." He shook his head. "Derek manages 300 employees. Amanda teaches 60 students a year. What do you manage, Michael?" "Excel formulas." Everyone stared at their plates. except Derek, who tried to look sympathetic while clearly enjoying this. I'm just saying, Dad continued, voice softer now, almost pitying, at some point you need to contribute something real. Something that matters. Something beyond just existing on the periphery of actual achievement. I felt my phone buzz in my pocket. Probably my financial advisor's holiday message. I took a slow breath and nodded. You're absolutely right, Dad. His eyebrows rose. What? You're right. You built Thompson Manufacturing from nothing. That's real. That's substantial. I respect that enormously. He blinked, thrown by my agreement. I appreciate you letting me be part of this family, I continued quietly. Even if my contribution isn't visible in the same way. Mom looked relieved. Derek looked confused. Dad looked vindicated. Well, Dad cleared his throat. Good. I'm glad you understand. This isn't personal, son. I just want you to find something meaningful. Something you can build. Something real. I smiled. I understand completely. Dinner continued. The subject changed. By dessert, everyone was laughing again. Dad was telling his favorite factory stories and I was checking my phone under the table. One email to Gerald Chin. That's all it would take. I didn't send it at dinner. That would have been emotional. Reactive. I waited until Black Friday morning. Preparation. Friday, November 29, 2024. 9:47 a.m. I sat in my Boston townhouse with coffee and my laptop. Outside, people were lining up for Black Friday sales. Inside, I was about to collapse my father's manufacturing empire. Not out of spite. Out of principle. For 5 years, I'd provided the capital that allowed Thompson Manufacturing to survive and thrive. Dad's self-made success story existed because I'd quietly guaranteed $6.2 million in credit when he needed it most. And last night, in front of 23 people, he told me I contributed nothing. Fine. Let's see what happens when that nothing disappears. I called Gerald Chin first. Michael. Happy Thanksgiving. Gerald, I need to close the Thompson Manufacturing facility. Silence. Then, the full $6.2 million line? Immediately. Whatever the termination protocols are. Michael, they currently have $4.1 million outstanding against that line. It's integrated into their cash flow management. Closing it will trigger immediate repayment requirements and I understand the consequences. Another pause. This is about your father. This is about contribution, Gerald. Apparently I don't make one. So I'm withdrawing the contribution I wasn't making. The bank will need 30 days notice minimum. There are covenants, structured termination schedules. What's the fastest legally permissible timeline? I heard keyboard clicking. 14 days if we invoke the personal guarantor withdrawal clause. The facility was structured with an exit provision that allows capital partners to withdraw with 2 weeks written notice. The borrower then has 90 days to replace the facility or repay the outstanding balance. Do it. Michael, I need to ask this professionally. Are you certain? Your father's business could face serious disruption. Vendor relationships, equipment financing, potentially payroll if they've structured operations around this liquidity. Gerald, my father spent 20 minutes at Thanksgiving dinner explaining how I contribute nothing to this family while his business succeeds entirely on its own merit. I'd like to test that hypothesis. Understood. I'll draft the withdrawal notice today. It'll be delivered to Thompson Manufacturing's bank on Monday morning. Your father will be notified by Tuesday at the latest. Perfect. For what it's worth, Michael, I've seen a lot of family business situations. Pride is expensive. Your father's about to learn exactly how expensive. I ended the call and opened my email to my personal attorney, copying my accountant. Subject: Thompson Manufacturing Credit Facility, Withdrawal and Asset Protection. I outlined the situation, requested documentation of every transaction, interest payment, and legal protection to ensure when this became public. And it would become public. My position was unassailable. Then I called my mother. Michael, honey, about last night. Mom, I need you to listen carefully. In about 10 days, Dad's going to receive some difficult news about Thompson Manufacturing's financing. I can't give you details yet, but I need you to know. The business isn't in danger of failing, but Dad's going to face some decisions. What kind of news? Michael, what did you do? I didn't do anything, Mom. I'm just undoing something I did 5 years ago that apparently didn't matter. This is about Thanksgiving dinner. This is about honesty, Mom. Dad built his business on his own. He's told me that my entire life. He reminded everyone last night. So now he gets to prove it's true. Michael Robert Thompson, if you're doing something to hurt your father's company. I would never hurt Dad's company, Mom. I'm just removing my non-existent contribution. He'll be fine. He's self-made, remember? I hung up before she could respond. The rest of Friday I prepared. Documented everything. Reviewed contracts. Ensured every legal structure was airtight. By Sunday night I felt calm. Clear. This wasn't revenge. This was truth. Dad wanted to know what I'd built. He was about to find out. Confrontation scene. Tuesday, December 3, 2024. 2:47 p.m. I was in a meeting with a commercial real estate client when my phone exploded. 14 missed calls. 23 texts. Dad. Derek. Uncle Frank. Even some of Dad's business associates whose numbers I barely recognized. The withdrawal notice had been delivered. I excused myself, stepped into the hallway and called Gerald. They know, he confirmed. The bank informed Robert Thompson this morning that the $6.2 million credit facility is being withdrawn due to capital partner exit. He has 90 days to secure replacement financing or repay the $4.1 million outstanding balance. How did he react? According to my contact at the bank, he demanded to know who the capital partner was. They correctly refused to disclose. Privacy provisions in the original agreement prevent revelation without the guarantor's written consent. Which I'm not providing. Understood. Michael, you should know, your brother Derek called the bank president directly. Made some threats about legal action, demanded information about whoever's sabotaging the family business. The bank's holding firm on confidentiality, but your family is active in their response. My phone buzzed again. Derek calling. Thanks, Gerald. Keep me posted. I let Derek go to voicemail. Then Dad. Then Mom. By 4 p.m. I had 37 missed calls. I finished my workday. Closed my laptop. Took the tea home. Had dinner. Watched the news. At 8 p.m. someone started pounding on my townhouse door. I checked the camera. Derek's car in my driveway. Derek and Dad both on my doorstep. I opened the door. What did you do? Derek shoved past me into my foyer. Dad followed, face red, tie loosened. Good evening, Derek. Dad. This is unexpected. Don't play games. Derek spun on me. What did you say to the bank? What kind of accusations did you make? I haven't spoken to any bank about Thompson Manufacturing. Bullshit. Derek's voice cracked. This happens 3 days after Thanksgiving? After Dad's speech? You got offended and called in some kind of fake complaint. Dad held up his hand, trying to maintain composure. Michael, son. The bank informed us that our primary credit facility is being withdrawn. The one we've relied on for 5 years. They won't tell us why. They won't tell us who's behind it. They just said, capital partner exit. I heard about that, I said calmly. Mom called me. You heard about it? Derek stepped closer. You didn't do anything about it? What would I do about it, Derek? I work in private wealth management in Boston. I don't have connections to manufacturing credit facilities in. Then who would do this? Dad's voice rose. Who benefits from destroying Thompson Manufacturing? We've never defaulted, never missed a payment, maintained perfect credit. Maybe, I said quietly, whoever provided that facility decided they wanted to invest their capital elsewhere. Derek laughed bitterly. Invest elsewhere. Right. You don't just withdraw $6.2 million in credit from a performing business unless... He stopped. Stared at me. Unless someone convinced them to. Derek, you're suggesting I somehow influenced a multi-million-dollar credit facility involving institutions I don't even work with? How would I possibly? I don't know. Derek shouted. But the timing, Michael. 3 days after Dad asked what you've contributed. And I agreed with him, I said. I told Dad he was absolutely right. Dad's face had gone pale. Michael, if you know something, if you heard something through your finance contacts, if there's some kind of banking issue we should know about. There's no banking issue, Dad. Your credit is fine. Your business is profitable. Someone just decided to reallocate their capital. It happens in finance all the time. We have 90 days to replace $4.1 million in active credit, Dad said, voice shaking slightly. Do you understand what that means? That's not just walking into a bank and getting approved. That's months of applications, underwriting, documentation. You built Thompson Manufacturing from nothing, I said. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Derek's eyes narrowed. You smug son of a... Derek. Dad's voice was sharp. Michael, please, if you have any contacts in commercial lending, any connections that might help us secure bridge financing while we sort this out. I'm asking you, as your father. I looked at him. Really looked at him. The man who'd spent 27 years dismissing everything I'd achieved. Who'd announced to a room full of people that I contributed nothing. Dad, I work in private wealth management. I help high-net-worth individuals structure investments and family office operations. I don't do commercial manufacturing credit. That's not my world. But you know people, Dad pressed. You work with banks. You could make calls. Recommend us. Something. Anything. You just told 23 people that what I do isn't real work. That it's paper pushing. Playing with spreadsheets. Why would my connections be valuable now? The room went silent. Derek broke first. So this is revenge. You're punishing Dad because he hurt your feelings. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm simply not contributing. Since, as Dad accurately observed, I contribute nothing. Dad's phone rang. He glanced at it, answered. Robert Thompson. Yes. What? When? His face went whiter. I understand. Yes. Tomorrow morning. He hung up. That was our accountant. The bank just sent formal documentation. The credit facility terminates December 17th. We have 14 days, not 90, to repay the outstanding balance unless we secure replacement financing. Something about accelerated withdrawal protocols. I knew that, of course. I'd invoked those protocols specifically. 14 days. Derek's voice cracked. That's impossible. We can't liquidate that kind of cash in 2 weeks without destroying vendor relationships, equipment financing. You'll have to get creative, I said. Maybe sell some assets. Take out emergency loans. Ask family for help. Family. Dad looked at me. Michael, if you're asking me to apologize for Thanksgiving. I'm not asking for anything, Dad. You don't owe me an apology. You stated your assessment of my contribution. I accepted it. And now I'm acting accordingly. By destroying the family business? Derek shouted. I haven't touched the family business. I don't own Thompson Manufacturing. I don't work there. I have zero connection to your operations. Whatever's happening with your credit facility has nothing to do with me. Dad stared at me for a long moment. You know something. I can see it in your face. You know who's doing this. What I know is that Thompson Manufacturing received favorable credit terms from anonymous investors who believed in the business. And now those investors are exercising their legal right to withdraw. That's how capital markets work, Dad. It's theoretical. Numbers on screens. Not real work like manufacturing. I watched him process that. Saw the moment something clicked behind his eyes. The facility came through right when we needed it most, he said slowly. March 2020. Right when the pandemic hit. The bank said it was a special program for established manufacturers. But the terms were unusually favorable. The approval was unusually fast. Sounds like you got lucky, I said. And now someone's withdrawing exactly 2 days after Thanksgiving. He stopped. Derek was looking between us, confused. What are you saying, Dad? But Dad wasn't looking at Derek. He was staring at me. How much capital do you manage, Michael? In your paper-pushing job. That's confidential client information. Estimate. Private wealth management portfolios vary significantly based on. Estimate. I met his eyes. Around $340 million in active capital across various investment vehicles. Derek's mouth fell open. Dad's voice dropped to almost a whisper. And the credit facility that's being withdrawn from Thompson Manufacturing. The one that's been supporting us for 5 years. The one with anonymous capital partners. How much was that facility? I believe the bank said $6.2 million. That would represent approximately 1.8% of a $340 million portfolio. The math checks out. A rounding error, Dad said. Barely noticeable in a portfolio that size. Unless you're the manufacturer who depends on it. We stood there in my foyer. 3 Thompson men. 2 of them just realizing what the third had been doing for 5 years. Derek found his voice first. You were the capital partner. I said nothing. You've been financing Dad's business? For 5 years. I neither confirm nor deny any specific investment positions. Michael. Derek grabbed my shoulder. This isn't a joke. If you're behind that facility, you can stop this. You can. I can what, Derek? Continue contributing nothing? Continue being the disappointment who plays with spreadsheets while you and Dad do real work. Dad's hand went to his chest. For a moment I thought he might be having a heart attack. You heard me Thursday night, he said quietly. At Thanksgiving. You heard everything I said. Everyone heard everything you said, Dad. That was kind of the point. Public performance of my inadequacy. And you provided the credit that saved us during the pandemic. I invested capital in a profitable manufacturing business with strong fundamentals. Standard investment thesis. Nothing personal. Nothing personal? Dad's voice broke. I've been paying interest on a loan from my own son for 5 years? You've been paying competitive market rates to anonymous investors. Who those investors were shouldn't matter. You taught me that. Business is business. Keep family separate. But you let me. Dad sat down heavily on my stairs. You let me think I did it alone. That the business succeeded because of my decisions. Your business did succeed because of your decisions, Dad. You made brilliant strategic choices during the pandemic. The PP pivot was genius. The equipment acquisitions were perfectly timed. You managed it all beautifully. You just did it with $6.2 million in backup capital that you didn't know came from me. But why? Derek demanded. Why not just tell us? Why hide it? Because Dad would never have accepted help from his disappointing younger son who contributes nothing. The loan officer told you it was a special program for established manufacturers. You believed that because it fit your narrative. Self-made success. No handouts. No help needed. Dad's face was in his hands. Oh my God. And now, I continued calmly, I'm exercising my legal right as a capital partner to withdraw my investment. Just like any institutional investor would. Nothing personal. Just business. The way you taught me. Michael, please. Dad looked up and I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear. I was wrong. What I said Thursday. I was showing off. Being proud. I didn't mean. You meant every word, Dad. And that's okay. You're entitled to your assessment. I'm just responding accordingly. By destroying the business? I'm not destroying anything. I'm removing my non-existent contribution. You'll be fine. You're self-made, remember? Derek's phone rang. He answered. What? Slow down. Who? His face went white. How did they? We'll be there. He hung up. That was the bank president. He's calling an emergency meeting tomorrow morning. He said we need to discuss alternative financing options and revelation of capital partners. Revelation. Dad looked at me. Banking privacy laws prevent disclosure without the guarantor's consent, I said. But if the guarantor agrees to be identified, you'd tell them it was you? I'd tell them the truth, Dad. That for 5 years I've been the primary capital partner behind Thompson Manufacturing's credit facility. That I've collected interest payments while you publicly dismissed my career and contribution. And that I'm now withdrawing because apparently, you don't need what I don't provide. This will ruin us, Derek whispered. No, it won't. It'll stress test you. You'll have to get creative. Maybe bring in an actual outside investor. Maybe restructure operations to reduce credit dependence. Maybe Derek will have to learn commercial finance instead of just sales. But ruin you? Well, Thompson Manufacturing is too strong for that. You built something real, remember? Dad stood slowly. He looked old suddenly. Smaller than I'd ever seen him. I owe you an apology. You don't owe me anything, Dad. I do. I absolutely do. Michael, I was wrong. About your work. About your contribution. About everything I said. You weren't wrong about everything. Derek does run a great operation. Amanda is an excellent teacher. You did build something impressive. Your assessment of them was accurate. But about you, about me, you were honest. And I appreciate honesty. Which is why I'm being honest now. I'm done being invisible. Done being dismissed. Done contributing nothing while pretending it's fine. Derek stepped forward. Mike, come on. Family doesn't do this to each other. Family also doesn't announce someone contributes nothing in front of 23 people. But here we are. What do you want? Dad asked quietly. An apology? Public acknowledgement? A position at the company? What would make this right? I don't want anything from you, Dad. I never did. I built my own career. My own success. My own portfolio. I did exactly what you taught me. Created value independently. The only difference is you couldn't see it because it didn't look like your version of success. Then why help us at all? Derek demanded. Why provide the facility in the first place if you were just going to rip it away? I helped because you're my family. Because I watched Dad stress about cash flow and knew I could solve it. Because when I had the capability to contribute, I did. Quietly. Without needing credit or recognition. That's what family does. Then don't stop now. Derek pleaded. Oh, I'm not stopping contributing to family, Derek. I'm stopping contributing to people who think I contribute nothing. There's a difference. Dad's phone rang again. He ignored it. Michael. Son. Please. I will do whatever it takes to make this right. Public apology. Acknowledgement at the company. Anything. I don't need your apology, Dad. I need your honesty. Tomorrow morning when you meet with the bank, they're going to ask if you know who the capital partner is. You're going to have a choice. Maintain the lie that you're self-made or tell the truth. Whichever you choose will tell me everything I need to know about what happens next. I walked to my door and opened it. You should go. You have a big day tomorrow. Lots of calls to make. Financing to secure. Real business to conduct. They stood there. Two men who'd spent years telling me I wasn't enough, realizing I'd been holding up their world the entire time. Derek left first, speechless for maybe the first time in his life. Dad stopped at the door. I love you, son. I want you to know that. I've always loved you. I know, Dad. But love and respect are different things. You can love someone and still think they contribute nothing. Tomorrow you'll show me which one matters more. He left. I closed the door. And for the first time in 27 years, I felt like Robert Thompson's son had actually contributed something that mattered.